When I first started training years ago, we were taught, and this was even in college as I was getting my degree in exercise physiology, we were taught that calories in, yes, versus, thanks Barb, I'd love you to take notes for me. That would be awesome. It'd be helpful, I think, if you'd like to. We were taught that calories in just had to equal calories out, as in how much you exercise. If I take 2,000 calories a day in, I need to move or exercise the equivalent of 2,000 calories, and my weight will be just fine. Okay, and that's how we were taught, and we all thought, oh, well, it's just like a simple math equation. However, what we weren't taught until fairly recently, I'd probably say the last maybe 5 years, and like I said, this was over 20 years ago that I started doing this. Fallible, absolutely fallible. Now, it's not that that model is not applicable today. It's not that. It's a piece of the puzzle, but just a piece, okay? All calories are not equal. Exactly. And in my article that I wrote for you guys, I gave you an example that we'll talk about here today too. So we need to be thinking about what happens in the body hormonally. It's really important to remember that food is information for fat loss. It's information for a lot of things. But today we're gonna, here we go. My high pony, that's 90s, right? Anyway, so food is information for fat loss and a whole lot of other stuff, but today we're going to be kind of concerned about fat loss. So that's a number one thing to remember, okay? Food is information about fat loss and or for the body in regards to fat loss. So we need to take into consideration what kind of food we're taking in. So the example that I use in the article is a donut and a piece of chicken. So we'll get onto that in just a second. But I want you to remember there are two pieces to this puzzle. One is the calories contained in the food, and two is what those calories or what that food breaks down to in the bloodstream and what happens to the hormonal balance when that happens. Does that make sense? Every time we eat, some kind of hormone is produced. Excuse me. And that's not just when we eat. It's all day long. Every different thing that we encounter creates a hormone of some kind to send a message. A hormone is a messenger that tells the body what to do. All right? We can't control our hormones just by thinking, well, these chips are really good and they only have, what are those little 100-calorie snack packs? Well, these chips are really good and they only have 100 calories. They still contain the macronutrients. When you hear the term macronutrients, that means the carbs, proteins, and fats in a food. Carbs, proteins, and fats, as well as fiber and sugars, they stimulate different hormones. Okay, so that right there is a very important part of this puzzle. So it is a combination of the calories in and the calories out, as well as the hormones that are produced when you eat these foods. All right, I'm just going to go to my list and make sure I don't forget anything. So, as we spoke of, food is information for the body. Is it going to store fat or is it going to burn fat? I'll get into this in just a second. So, also important to know that when you add fiber to your foods, that is a helpful tool. I'm going to get into that too. I just want to kind of like throw it all out there right now. My notes don't seem to be in very good order right now, according to how I wrote the article. But what is, sorry, hang on. Let me grab my other sheet of notes here. This one makes a little more sense. All right. You're still walking, yes. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I got my notes all out of order here. So, this is why I wrote you an article. Yes, fiber is critical. I'll explain how we do this. But what I want, let's see. Let me go through what happens in your body when you do calorie restriction first, and then we're going to talk about what the hormones do afterward in case I need to break it up into two pieces. All right. First, when you want to diet, okay? Typically people want to go onto a diet and they say, okay, I need to lose some weight. So according to the calories in, calories out model, I will just reduce my calories. What that model says is that 1 pound of fat equals 3,500 calories. So if I eat 500 calories less a day for 7 days a week, then apparently I should lose a pound of fat. Does that make sense? 500 calories a day. Hey, Sam. 500 calories a day times 7 days a week equals 3,500 calories. According to the calories in, calories out model, that is 1 pound of fat. Okay? So this is what we used to teach. We used to teach, oh, well, just cut out those 500 calories a day and you'll be fine. Now, those people that were like, that's not enough for me. I don't want to lose 1 pound a week. That's only 4 pounds a month. I got things to do, okay? Then we used to teach that, okay, well then, if that's the case, you can cut out 1,000 calories a day, and then you can't eat what you want and burn it off. No, can't happen. So in that case, you could cut 1,000 calories a day. Now suppose you were only eating 2,000 calories a day, and then you hacked yourself down 1,000 calories a day. That's leaving you with only 1,000 calories of fuel to function on. We're going to explain why that's such a bad thing later, but just do a little math in your head. So maybe that's too much. Maybe you're like, well, I can't survive on 1,000 calories a day. So your trainer says, the body will be very angry. So your trainer says, okay, well, we'll make a compromise. If you want to lose 2 pounds a week, we will reduce 1,000 calories, but we'll split it up between your exercise and your food. So let's reduce your food by 500 calories a day, and let's increase your exercise by 500 calories a day, and the math is good, and we are good to go. So according on the piece of paper, this all works. Yes. This all works on paper, right? However, no. So what happens is, think about your car. If you tell your car, all right, so we go shopping in a place called Coeur d'Alene. It's 45 minutes away. So let's just say it's 45 miles away. I really don't know how far away it is. So let's say, hey guys, thanks for coming. So let's just say I'm going shopping in Coeur d'Alene and I'm like, ooh, well, I really don't have the cash to go put in some more gas, so I'm just gonna ask my car, could you please just get me to Coeur d'Alene? I know we only have 30 miles. Idaho, yes, I'm from Idaho. I know we only have 30 miles worth of gas, but I really want to go shopping today because there's a sale at that one little store, and I just want you to go 45 so I can get there and get the things I need. Okay. So we would never say that to our car, and our car would just be like, yeah, not so much. Sitting on the side of the road, thinking about all the other people buying up your cute jeans, right? So it's very important to think about that the body is the same way. We cannot give the body less fuel and ask it to do more. Okay? We can't say, all right, I'm hacking off 500 calories from you, but I'm asking you to do 500 calories more worth of exercise now. Can you see? Raise your hand. Can you see? Can you see where that's a problem? That we give the body less, but we ask it to do more. It's kind of like, have you ever been in a job where you're, no, I'll explain it in a second, Astro. Have you ever been in a job, so flawed. Have you ever, but I'll tell you, for years, this is one of my biggest struggles as a trainer, is trying to get people to understand this. And we're going to dive into that in a second. So don't leave, because I don't want you leaving with just that piece. So, how many of you guys have had a job? How many of you guys have had a job where they said, you know, look, we can't really afford to pay you, but hey, I do have this other extra project I need you to take on. Company's not doing so great, but you need to take, $20 an hour less, and here's a new project for you to do. That's right, no wood, no fire. Go start a business. What's your first name? I feel bad not addressing your name. Thinking was the model. Yes, terribly miserable model. So I also want you to think about the mindset that goes with this model. The mindset, oh, John, thanks for joining us, John. Thank you for your input. The mindset that goes with this model of calories in, calories out, you probably thought yourself thinking, oh my gosh, I'm starving. Yeah, pro bono work. I'm starving. Or everybody else gets to eat and I don't. Oh, I wish I could have that, but I can't. Or this is miserable. Thanks, Astro, for inviting your little peeps. This is miserable. I can't wait till I have a cheat day. When you start thinking along those lines that you're like, I just can't wait to get out of this little bottle I put myself in, it's not going to last. So we need to find a way of eating that is sustainable. Okay? And we don't want to live. Who wants to live with these negatives, starving, deprived, and end up, yep, screwing up all your work. Yep. So what happens here is, hi Eric. So what happens here, this is called, we could call this the eat less, exercise more model. When I say, okay, I'm going to eat less, I'm going to exercise more, everything's going to be fine until, and it probably will be fine for a very short time, depending on the body. It all depends on where you are hormonally right now. It probably will work for you for some time. Your body will say, oh, well, okay, so we're in a calorie deficit. This is one piece of the puzzle of losing fat, is to be in a calorie deficit. But it has to be very carefully balanced with the foods that you're putting in. Good job, Barb. Good job. All right, so what happens here is when our calories in a deficit, our body's just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I better start preserving, so I'm going to let a little bit of stuff go. So when your body wants bad foods and you used to get, no, not stress. I mean, you might be mentally stressed a little bit, but there's a hump to get over. But so what happens is the body is starting to think, okay, after a little while, it's starting to lose some fat, a little bit of fat, a lot of water to begin with, and some muscle. And the reason it's losing muscle is because the body is starting to go, okay, wait a minute, he's been doing this now for a few weeks. And it doesn't seem like this is like a short-term thing. It's not like we just ran out of food for a day. The hump is all mental. Yes. So it's not like we just ran out of food for a day and we're just going to restore tomorrow. That wouldn't necessarily negatively affect your body so much. It's the day after day after day. Pretty much, Kevin. Got to win the Fitbit challenge. So the problem here is that after time, the body says, okay, wait a minute, maybe there's a famine in the land here. If this is a Holocaust, I need to start storing on because this could go on for years. It doesn't know what's going on the outside. It doesn't know it doesn't know that you're trying to get ready for your bikini and your trunks. It's thinking, well, this could be a Holocaust. At all costs, I need to save everything I can so that he can survive whatever's going out there on the inside. On the outside, okay? So what it's going to do is fat is easy for your body to survive on. I know that's kind of funny. We don't think about this. We think that, oh, what do you mean fat's so hard to get rid of? However, your body survives on fat because at low levels of intensity, when it comes to exercise or moving around in the day, which is why I live on the treadmill, the body lives on fat at low levels, okay? So the other thing is that the muscle tissue is a very metabolically active tissue, which means it eats a lot. So, and it eats fat, okay? So I'm going to stick to my topic here, okay? And then if I have time to ask questions afterward, which on Friday I'm doing a Q&A, Eric, so write a bunch of questions down. But I want to stick to the topic so that I don't get sidetracked because it's an important issue, okay? So, okay, see, got off topic. What was I talking about? Okay, fat and muscle is a very metabolically active tissue, which means that it needs a lot to keep it going. So in the state of famine, as you're restricting calories, think about this, your body's going to say, okay, wait, I got the fat, I got the muscle is eating up this fat, and I really can't afford to have it around right now because I don't know how long this calorie restriction is going to happen. Okay, raise your hand if that makes sense to you. If not, I will go back and explain it again because that's a really important, that's the key. That's the whole thing right there. Muscle is a very metabolically active tissue. And when your body is in a state of caloric restriction for too long, your body has to make a choice. It's like, well, I can live off this fat for a while, but this muscle is using up all this fat, so I got to ditch it. Okay? So that is why, okay, Astra, will do. That is why, Astra, your question was, ask me that question again, Astra. It was about, doesn't that burn fat? Well, in the short term, you probably will lose a little bit of fat, but in the long term, it's going to, and short term, I mean like just a day or two. But in the long, I'm talking restricting calories without exercise. The same thing can happen while restricting calories without exercise as well. Let me think if I answered that properly. Your question was, am I talking about, so the same thing can happen, yes, if I'm just restricting calories. If I say I'm going to go from a 2,000 oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yes, Beck, however, when you restrict calories and then you add exercise on top of it, I think it was Eric, working out burns more fat. Wait, so basically starving yourself and working out burns more fat is no. So, starving yourself and working out stresses the body out, which I think Eric mentioned. It will stress and I think Barb mentioned it as well, it will stress the body out where the body's like, what? What? You want me to get to Coeur d'Alene and get those cute jeans, but I only have 30 miles of gas and you want me to go 45? What? Or you want me to do this project, but you want me to pay me less? What are you talking about? No. So the body is going to stress out. So what happens is it pushes back. Your metabolism is a very sensitive issue. It does not like to be pulled and prodded. It does not like to be told. So 80s. Those are 90s, I guess. So yes, it still eats muscle. And think about this. If it's starting, let's just say you were just restricting calories, because this is what happens. I wrote about this in the article, and I think if you go read the article, it'll be a lot more clear because I'm jumping all over. But if I'm just, thank you, Wendy, if I'm just restricting calories, I go from a 2,000 calorie diet to a 500 calorie diet, okay? And my body's like, well, what did I say? I meant from a 2,000 calorie diet to a 1,500 calorie diet. I'd knock off 500 calories a day. And my body says, well, okay, we can deal with this. This is okay. It's not too crazy, even though I never really recommend anybody chop that many calories off. But your body can deal with that. It has a little bit of a cushion. Thank you. Oh, it's actually .net. Everything is perfect, but it's a .net. And it's in my bio as well. Not my website, but the link right to the article. I made you guys a short link to get there. But thank you. So I restrict 500 calories, and I'm going on for a while. I'm like, this is okay. I'm kind of hungry. I get a little moody. Sometimes my blood sugar drops, but I could deal with this for a while. And then you get to this plateau point where your body says, no, I think Pete was here earlier this morning. Your body gets to the point where it says, well, I'm getting a little sketchy. You're starting to lose a few pounds, and you're like, hey, this is working. But yes, as Barb said, you hit a little plateau where your body's like, I don't know, I'm getting a little sketchy about this. Just like if your boss had restricted your paycheck by 20, thank you, perfect, by, $20 a week. You'd be like, what's going on here? Well, I'm going to stick around and see what happens. And then your boss, or you go to the gym, and your boss adds more work to your plate. The boss says, well, I'm going to take $20 off, but you got this new project you're in charge of. It's the same thing as going to the gym after you're reducing all these calories, and then you're like, hitting the plateau. I think I need to do more. So I'm going to add exercise to it. So now you're asking your muscles to try to work and build on less fuel. You guys always hear me say, your post-workout meal should be focused on fueling the exercise that you just did so that your body doesn't get to this state. Ask for a raise. Okay, I hope that made sense. So you give your body less by cutting your calories 500 pounds. And then that goes for a while and you're like, okay, things are happening. Most likely it's water weight. Not to be depressing, but you've probably in that process of reducing calories have reduced carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, for every gram of carbohydrate that you eat, your body holds on to 4 grams of water. That is key right there. That is why that initial weight loss tends to be water, because most people will reduce the carbohydrates. By reducing the carbohydrates, you're reducing all that water that they hold. Does that make sense? Raise your hand. Okay, that's a big piece of the puzzle too. I'm trying not to get too over your head, but this is such important stuff you got to know. All right, reduce to 500 calories. You're like, oh, it's good, everything's going fine, but you know what? I want more. So, just like your boss, I want more. Okay, great. I love the hands. So now you say, well, it's time for me to hit the gym then, because I got to kick this bad boy up a notch, okay? So you go to the gym, you ask your body to do more. The body is like, wait. You're trying to build muscle right now, and that muscle is metabolically active tissue. So you're trying to compete with me even more. I'm trying to survive right here. This is your body's main goal, is survival, okay? So when your body is like sketching it out, it's like, a little bit less calories. Okay, I can deal for a little while longer. And then you go to the gym. That's a big insult to the body. The body wants to survive, and it's like, you're doing everything to kill me off that you can. So the body is going to go, and stop on the side of the road, okay? Before you get the cute jeans. So, or get into the cute jeans. And what happens here is the metabolism, unfortunately, wants to fight back. It wants to keep you alive. It does not care how you look in your jeans or your bikini. It wants you to have eyeballs that open every day, okay? So what happens is the body, I want you guys to pay very close attention to this. This happens to me all the time. I lose 2 pounds maybe 3, and my body starts driving me to just want more. It starts driving me to want some munchies. So yes, we'll get into that in just a second. I think I have a few more minutes to do that. So your body will start to drive you to eat more. It'll start you to crave more. You guys were talking about moods, Eric and somebody else. Was it Kevin? We're talking about moods. It will start to affect your moods. It'll make you cranky and hangry, and people will just be like, here, eat this cheesecake because I'm so sick of you. Okay, so it will drive you to do everything it can. It'll drop your energy so that you are, you know what, I don't really count too many calories. I have to say I probably eat about 1,800 calories a day. I log my food periodically, just to, you know, kind of like make sure I'm staying on track. Good calories versus bad calories. That's what we're going to get into. Okay, so let's see. Let me just stop and focus. Okay, this is what you need to know. These statistics. Aster, I need your email, but I haven't done it yet to my Facebook group. So I need your email for that. Not here, but you have to send me a message. All right, so what I just explained to you, the whole fight back theory of the body trying to survive. So when people calorie restrict with their diets, 95% of the time they will fail. And I know that sounds like a large number, but when we talked about the mindset considerations that go with this, it has nothing to do with the calories, the failure. The failure comes from the mindset that accompanies the crummy feelings of being starving and being hangry and being having cravings and energy drops, okay? So it comes from that mindset of deprivation and restriction and I'm not good at this, and it's almost like a rebellion. Yeah, hangry happens. Hashtag hangry happens. So the body drives you to, I know, exactly. That's so bad, Barb. The body drives you to compensatory eating. I use that term a lot, and what that just basically means is your body is compensating for what it's not getting. If you're restricting those calories, the body is missing something. It's missing some nutrients that it needs. And unfortunately, this drives me crazy, but when we have restricted calories, we've gone to those really nifty, thank you, Beck, those really nifty 100-calorie snack packs. How easy is that? But it's crap food, which, MS Hickey, could you remind me of your name? I think that's what your sign was. Mentioned good calories, bad calories, which is what we're going to get into now. So, Matthew. Okay, thank you, Matthew. So when people calorie restrict, they fail 95% of the time. Do you know this is really important too? 66% of dieters, meaning calorie restrictors, those are actually pretty good there because it's a quality fat. 66% of calorie restrictors will gain the weight back because who remembers what I said about the muscle? We'll lose muscle. Muscle is a very metabolically active tissue, which means it eats your fat for a living. If we are restricting calories and the body's like, don't really like this, but I can hang, and then we add some exercise or restrict more exercise, the body's like, no, don't like this. I'm going to start using your muscle to fuel myself and hang on to the fat because I know the fat's going to last me for maybe a year, whereas maybe I'm just throwing these figures out there. Maybe the muscle's only going to last me 2 months if we're in a Holocaust situation, but that's going to hang on for a while. Okay? So, this is the key part of this whole thing, is that starvation then drives your body into a threatened state, increasing cortisol. Cortisol, as you guys, I hit cortisol all the time. Cortisol is not such a bad hormone. We do need a certain amount of cortisol or we can get very, very sick, but most of us function in a state where our cortisol or stress hormone is so high, and it in the high levels like that is a fat storage hormone, okay? So now let's make a shift into the hormones. Let me make sure I got everything. So, suffice it to say that the active people need to eat more, inactive people need to eat less. That's about all you really need to know when it comes to calories. Okay, wait. That's not really all. I mean, it's not that I want you to completely throw calories out the window. In fact, in the article, I never ask my clients to count calories on a daily basis because that feels like prison to people. However, I do often calculate roughly where their calories are going to be, and we fiddle around with it. I make them aware of them. And so what I did for you in the article, I should have told you guys this sooner, is in the article I made you a little, excuse me, a little printable that will teach you how to calculate your calories for your weight. It'll teach you how to calculate sodium, fat, carbohydrates, proteins in a rough estimate. Now you guys have to remember, I'm always saying that we are individuals, so this gives you kind of a rough guideline, and then you have to play with that and see how your body responds when it comes to your hunger, your energy, your cravings, and your fat loss, okay? But in the article, there's probably 3/4 of the way down, there's a little printable for you to help you figure that out, okay? So that article is like chock full of goodies, so don't miss that one. Okay, so I have like, ooh, I just sped up my treadmill. Ooh, we're running. Okay, so now let's talk about the quality of those calories. This is where the hormones come in. We got the calories, but we have the quality of the calories. So if I believe in this calories in, calories out model, that means that I could eat 2,000 calories a day of chicken breast or 2,000 calories a day of jelly donuts. What do you think about that? What do you think is going to happen there? 2,000 calories a day of chicken breast or 2,000 calories a day of jelly donuts? What do you think about that? Oh, wait. Just kidding. You know, when you look at the nutrients in the chicken breast, Jelly Belly, exactly. When you look at the nutrients in the Guilty on Weight Watchers using most points on soda, exactly. I mean, Weight Watchers has a point. They had a good concept. However, their fatal flaw was that people were starting to do just that, or they would stay away from proteins because proteins were like 4 points, where a vegetable cake, a vegetable was like 1 or 0 points. So people would start staying away from proteins. It is essential that you eat those proteins to keep the muscle that you have worked. So exactly, so Beck, that's exactly what happened. You lost some weight and then stopped because you got to that point where the car's like, I don't know if we're gonna make it. So, Sandra, you're killing me with the chocolate donuts here. Okay, so the things you need to think about when it comes to hormone balance, I'm gonna kind of scurry through this, but when you eat carbohydrates, the body turns them to sugar quickly. When there's sugar in the body, insulin is a hormone that's produced, and its job is to get the sugar, grab it by the hand, take it out of the bloodstream, and store it in the muscle so you can use it later, okay? If you don't use it later, yes, I would say sometimes. I mean, I would never ask anybody to hack sweets off forever. Unless I was dealing, yes. Okay, so what happens, insulin is a fat storage hormone. So really the ultimate goal of all this should be to keep those insulin levels fairly low, okay? We want to prevent insulin from going up all day long. Oh, breakfast? Oh, orange juice, toast, and cereal, and skim milk? Oh, okay, insulin's high. Oh, snack time, we have a 100-calorie wheat thin snack pack, all starchy carbohydrates, turn to sugar fast, insulin's high. Oh, lunchtime, time for a sandwich with a big old bread roll and a bag of chips and maybe a little bit of meat and some vegetables inside there. Insulin really high. Can you guys see how all day, the general diet, I'm going to do a scope on how the food pyramid is killing us someday. But the typical diet has a steady influx of insulin, carbohydrate, leading to sugar, leading to insulin all day long. So our body's like, oh, as soon as that insulin comes out, the body's like, oh, time to shut down the fat burning. Oh, 3 hours later, oh, time to shut down the fat burning. Well, here's the deal. When insulin is present in the bloodstream, fat burning is shut down for about, so wrong. When insulin is present in the bloodstream in large amounts, the fat burning is shut down, shut down for about 3 hours. So if you're eating about every 3 to 4 hours, you keep shutting that window down. Maybe it finally opens for 30 minutes to an hour to use fat as your fuel source to sustain yourself while you're in your office or whatever. But then you eat more, and it's like, It's so, really, you probably for a large part of your day, I could get shut down for that, huh? For a large part of your day, you may very well be shutting down the fat burning doors, which is where your struggle is coming from. It's not necessarily about the calories, it's about what kind of calories that you're putting in there. So, let me give you some quick tips. I'm going to turn this off so I can stay a little more focused. I can't walk and focus at the same time. Okay, so let me just go through my notes, make sure I got it all. Okay, so your goal should be to be keeping those blood sugar levels fairly low. And I'm not saying to reduce all carbohydrates. Here's the trick. Number one, you want to stick with the complex carbohydrates. And actually, I have some food lists that I will create another article and share with you on those at some point. Not today, because my butt is tired of sitting writing articles. So you want to stick with the complex carbohydrates. These are vegetables, basically, whole grains. It's the white starchy carbohydrates you want to be careful of. And I can't remember who it was asked, is a sweet okay everyone? Of course it is. It is totally okay. But you know what I usually recommend? If you're going to have a treat, make sure it's not just a treat. Make sure you have like a piece of cake that is just loaded with sugar and starches. Try to throw in there a little veg, a little meat, and I'll tell you why. Because protein produces a hormone called glucagon. It is a fat-burning hormone. So if you can put a little bit of insulin in there and a little bit of this glucagon, they'll balance each other out as opposed to the insulin taking over from the piece of cake. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense. What's your friend? Glucagon? Yeah. The other thing about protein is protein takes, Natalie, you got to go back and watch this. Who's saving big time? What's your first name? So protein takes extra calories to digest. It keeps you full long. Kirsten. Thank you, Kirsten. It takes, it keeps you fuller longer because it takes a lot more to digest. This is called, I'm going to get nerdy. This is called the thermogenic effect of food. We want foods that take some time to digest because they keep us fuller longer. They keep us satiated, which is pretty much fuller longer. And then they also help to slow down the process at which those starchy foods turn to sugar. So eat some, okay, yeah, I'll watch it, Natalie. I think it will help. Natalie, Thursday we're talking soda. Those of you that are stuck on soda, I would love you to be here, and I would love your input on, I've never been a soda drinker, and I would love your guys' input on what little tricks you did, not today, but on Thursday, so that we can help other people get over the soda. I need to watch this since, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I never go in slow motion, but feel free to go back and watch, and who put that up about watching in slow motion? Because I wrote the article for you to go back and read slowly, okay? I just missed it. Somebody asked me, who was that? Said something about starches. So cutting back on starch. Now, okay, I say cutting back, but it depends on how much you're eating right now. So I also gave you in the article a kind of a template for how to fill your plate. Very simple. 50% vegetable, about 25 to 35% protein, and then the rest carbohydrates. A little bit, I kind of gave you a whole thing there, so go check the article there. Okay, so let me just go through here. So fiber from vegetables and whole grains also helps slow down the rate at which that insulin is produced in the body. So, my site is, and I think, Beck just put it up there. My site is www.secondwindfitness.net. There we go, perfect. And I put a link in the bio. It doesn't say Second Wind Fitness, but it is a link to the article. It's a little bit.ly link. It's the first link you come to, okay? It's on the website. So, there's a lot of good information there, and it's a lot more in order than I'm speaking to you right now. So fiber. Let's just say you want a piece of cake. Eat that cake with some salad. I'm not telling you go out and have cake. I'm just saying cake happens. Am I right? I mean, treats happen. I can't sit here and tell you never eat another treat because I know I'm going to eat another treat. So if you're going to eat that treat, one of the best times is to eat it after a meal when you already have. Is information different for middle agers? Yes, and especially menopausal women. So I'm giving you kind of a scope, and usually what I say is test it out, See how your body works and responds, because middle agers definitely will have a different reaction. Somebody could be in their 20s also, but have a major hormonal imbalance and have a different reactions to food. So this also in the bottom of the article, I shamelessly plugged myself, because this is what I do with people, is I meet with them and say, grandmothers, yes, I meet with them and I say, okay, let's look at everything going on, because it's really not just cookie cutter. I can see, ooh, you have a lot of stress, or oh, you're in menopause. Hi, Sabrina. Or, oh, you have PCOS, or, you know, so everybody, yes, everybody has different things going on and different lifestyle factors and different mental obstacles. So, but let me give you a couple things to take away. Fiber slows the rate at which insulin is produced in the bloodstream. The lower the insulin level, the less long you are going to be shutting down the fat burning doors, okay? Does that make sense? So that's important. We want to keep those fat burning doors open as long as possible. So you can keep those insulin levels a little bit lower by either reducing the starchy carbohydrates a little, or eating those starchy carbohydrates with a protein-packed, fiber-filled meal. It's going to do you a lot of good. That's the whole protein, fat, and carbs every few hours. That's the science behind that. So Sabrina, I know that's how you eat, and that's the reason, is because by having those proteins and starchy complex carbohydrates in there with all that fiber, slows down the rate at which the carbohydrates, the starchy things you might be eating, turn to sugar in the bloodstream, and it will keep those fat burning doors open longer. Okay, fiber also. Oh, my treadmill just started automatically. Fiber also decreases the hunger hormone. There's two hormones that I'm not going to get into today. We'll definitely do a scope on that sometime. There's ghrelin and leptin. Leptin is the one that tells you that you're full. Ghrelin is the one that tells you, dude, it's time to eat, okay? And so fiber helps to decrease that hunger hormone. So you got to keep thinking in mind that there's all these hormones I have no control of. I could just keep eating and eating, but because my brain wants to, but there's all this other stuff going on. Reduce my sugar for body, I think I'm still having, oh, most likely that's the case, Sabrina. Especially if you've got sugar coming in. Sugar is one of the things, oh, and maybe a lot of fruit. Sugar is one of the things that will definitely hold people back. Thank you, Barb. So I would reduce fruit, but fruit is nutritious. It's just not necessarily a fat loss food. The three fruits that I stick with people are berries, because they're high in fiber, apples, because they're high in fiber, and pears. Those are about the three fruits that I kind of steer people toward. All the rest of the fruits, while they are nutritious, usually the issue is that often we eat fruit alone, and because it's an easy snack to take, it's yummy, it kind of craves the sweet. Bananas, I won't say no bananas, but I will say really reduce those bananas. I need fat loss. Yes. And maybe not no fruit. I mean, I hate to tell you to eliminate fruit completely, because there are nutritious things in fruit, but those are the three go-to fruits that I typically stick with. I just would hate to see you eliminate it altogether. And like I've said before, I like to put fruit after my workout, because my body is ready to go, ready like a sponge. It's ready to use that fruit to replenish what I just did in the gym. All right. So we want to increase your fiber intake. And we also want to increase the protein, because protein fuels your muscle. It's going to help you keep that muscle that you're working really hard for. And you also, here's the thing with you guys that we're talking about, your wives that get moody when they're dieting. Often, if they're on Weight Watchers, for example, and they've just said, oh, protein's worth 4 points, I'm not going there. Protein increases dopamine. Dopamine is your happy brain chemical, okay? Which then, once you have dopamine circulating, avocados, yes, but about a quarter of an avocado per meal is where you want it, because avocados you can go over the top really quickly with. So, thank you, Barb. So when we have dopamine stimulated in the brain, our brain's like, ooh, I like this. And it's satisfied, it's happy, it's content. So you're going to find that your cravings go down and your motivation for life and movement and everything else goes up. Okay? So protein and workouts are my happy drugs. Very true. And this is why it's a chemical in the brain. I just think the hardest part these days for people is we've read it, we've calculated it, it's supposed to work according to the math, but we forgot to take the science and the chemistry and the hormones into balance. And that is where people have gotten stuck, and we just got to let it go. And I know it can be scary for people to say, oh my gosh, you're going to ask me to eat more calories. I'm going to start gaining weight. Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes if your metabolism is so out of whack, you've got to put some weight on. So your body's like, okay, I'm okay here, and we are, see, that's cool, Sabrina. And we're not in a Holocaust, we're not starving, it's okay, we can go on from here.